everyone. My name is Della Phillips. I'm an artist as well as I'm known as the Bicycle Lady. How are you doing today? I'm doing great. If you find this video helpful, enjoyable, entertaining, or anything like that, I really would appreciate if you subscribe. There's no charge for it, and I really need to build up my subscriber base per YouTube. So please help me out here and subscribe. There's no charge. I did get Etchr notebook, or not watercolor, but mixed media, 100% cotton, 140 pound sketchbook. It's totally made in China. It was a Christmas gift, and thank you very much to the person who wants to remain anonymous, but thank you, it's very generous of you. So I was doing some cleaning and rearranging, and I found that I still had a Strathmore mixed media 500 series soft covered sketchbook from Strathmore. So we're going to test these two today, okay? I decided to go ahead and go with the Strathmore Mixed Media Sketchbook. I'm going to do the testing on one of the back pages. Here I was just feeling the pages again, getting re-familiar with the heavy weight of the pages as well. The texture, it is a cold press texture, not extreme, but still cold press, so need to go gently with the brush tips. I'm going to use the same testing procedure I've used in prior videos when I was testing the other sketchbooks, and the same selection of pigmented watercolor markers. First, the Faber Castell Albrecht Durer Deep Scarlet Red. I was trying to get it to go into solution, so I did push it around longer. I did get a little bit of pilling of the paper. I went a little bit too far, and there you see where I touched that. Still, you're going to see ghosting. Those never disappeared. I still put the mark to the side for testing later to see if I can get any type of blending after it sat for a while. With the Prussian blue. I meant to grab the Sepia, but I grabbed the Prussian blue, which is fine. I'll roll with it. Let's go ahead and test it. And it does blend. However, the application lines of the color directly to the page is very prominent. Now keep in mind, you can use other techniques as putting the color on a palette, which could be ceramic or plastic, and then picking up the color with a brush and applying it to the page. So you have other options, but I want to have the option of directly applying the color to the page and blending it out, as well as paletting. Now the sepia, we know, is infamous, and you see that from the testing. It just lightly went into a blended solution. It just moved, the color lightly moved around. Here with the cadmium red hue, which is usually a fairly easy one. See, it does mainly go into solution like the Faber Castell, but there's still ghosted lines over where you can see the lines where the pigment was applied. I did avoid pilling in that one. Here's the other one. Just so you know, the brush I'm using is the same brush I've used before. It's the Raphael that I got. That's a synthetic Kolinsky. So it's not a scrubbing brush. I think that's important to know how much I used it up the top to pill. Also, I'm running this at 1.5 times normal speed. So it's going a little faster because I don't think you want to sit and watch me do this at real time. If you do, you can always alter the speed, because it's kind of like watching grass grow as far as I was concerned. So I wanted to go through, but let you see each time when I did the testing exactly what the results were. I consider this a fail. I'll still try the testing after about 15 to 20 minutes to see if I can get the other lines to blend out, or any part of that color to go into solution or blending. Brought up the Etchr. It is a very nice sketchbook. I haven't used a sketcher before, but I understand it's wonderful with other dry media and watercolor. I was deciding whether or not to do it then, or wait and bring up the Strathmore and then start it, but I decided to go back, and let's just go ahead and do that while we're waiting about the 15 to 20 minutes before I can do the rest of the testing on the Strathmore. So first up, just as before, is the Albrecht Durer Deep Scarlet Red. I put down the swatch, tried the blending, and I'm not trying to pill because this paper is a little bit rougher than the Strathmore. It does go more than a moderate amount, pretty much into solution. It's just a bare haze of a line that you'll see that doesn't go in. I still put the mark to the side for later testing. Now here's the sepia. I put the mark for later testing. Now let's see how the sepia does, since it's so infamous about being hard to blend when you directly apply it to a page. And we're seeing that here. You're seeing a light amount going into it to possibly moderate, but there is a definite line ghosted through where you directly applied the pigment to the paper. Again, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want the option not only just to palette and maybe even this up, but to directly apply and get a nice, good blending and moving the color around. So I have options when I'm doing plein air and carrying these pens, markers, with maybe a watercolor brush. Now here was the Prussian blue. It went into solution a little bit more than the Sepia, not quite as much as the Faber Castell Deep Scarlet Red. Now let's see the Cadmium Red hue. That is usually a fairly easy one, pretty much comparable to the Faber Castell when it blends on most of the watercolor sketchbooks I've tested. So let's see how it does here. See, it does readily go in. It's not blending out quite as much as the Faber Castell, but it does a good job. It's more than moderate. There's still definite lines that you can see that won't blend out. Now let's try the rose, which is moderately difficult when you directly apply it on blending it all out without showing the application lines. And again, that seems to be the case here. It is more definite lines than what you see with the two reds, but it does do a moderate amount of blending. So that's interesting. This could be manageable by putting the line out, blend it, and then palette on top of it, possibly. So right now I have some mixed feelings about this. Kind of similar to the Stillman & Burns Epsilon mixed feelings. Although I think that has more potential than this. The only thing is, with the heavier weight paper, it won't warp, but it does have the cold press, whereas the Epsilon does have a smooth surface. So here's the Hooker Green Deep. It goes into solution pretty close to what the Faber Castell Deep Scarlet Red did. Now there is still definite lines showing. Alright, I'm going to take that aside and bring up the Strathmore again. It has now been 15 minutes. Right now, as I was pointing out, going up the different colors and describing right there that there was pilling because how much I tried to blend, but you can definitely see the lines. So I see this as a fail, really. It's not something. And from prior times when I first got my markers, what, 5 or 6 years ago, I tried out and it kind of, at that time, it sucked most of the color right out of the marker I was trying out, which was the a red color that I got in the 6th set, which was the alizarin crimson. So you see here there's some blending, but the lines are very, very defined. So as far as this notebook is concerned, direct application of the watercolor markers without paletting first is a fail. I still like this sketchbook. It's very nice to work on, and it does handle watercolor fairly well. So this will still be in one of my sketchbooks that I like to use, selections. Now let's bring up the Etchr notebook and let's try the same type of thing. Let's see how much we can get these lines that sat for about 15-20 minutes back into solution. Now we see we're getting a little bit more than what we got blended out in the Strathmore. Still, it's not good. The red did pretty good. And I don't want to scrub a whole lot because this is my new synthetic Kolinsky and I really like it. It is soft, so I don't want to mess up the tip right away. I haven't so far. I have been gentle with it, even though with the testing. So the cadmium red hue did a better job going back into a blended solution, but still there's that line. Like I said, I have mixed feelings here. It's mixed to a fail, I would say, whereas the Epsilon is a mix and a possibility, I would say. Alright, so that's the testing. I hope you enjoyed it. Next in this series, I'm going to be testing paper blocks. and we'll see how some additional papers will do. Until next time, you have a wonderful day, and again, please subscribe if you find this helpful, informative. I really need to build that base per YouTube, so help me out there. You have a good day.